All right. Now, I don't know how we're going to do because I left my message on the printer tonight after I hurried and worked all afternoon to get it there. Uh, Let me find my verse here. It's in Ezekiel chapter 16. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 49. We're going to talk tonight again on pride one more time and just kind of give a little review of it and then just give a little remedy for it, a few things of advice to overcome it and rid ourselves of it that'll help us. And so we're going to read this verse, and I'm going to try to remember the things that I wrote down. So pray for me. Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse 49, the Bible says this, "Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom." What's the first word? Pride. That was the sin of Sodom. Now there's a comma, and it says, "Fullness of bread and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. And they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good." Now, fullness of bread in itself is not a sin. It's not a sin to have plenty. It's not a sin, idleness within its bounds is not a sin. You need to sit still once in a while. The Bible tells us that. But abundance of idleness is bad. And fullness of bread and abundance of idleness, that is the environment that pride grows in very, very well. So pride was the sin of Sodom. And, God used one of the most abominable stories in the Bible to connect it with pride. And so we look at this and we see this, that neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. So if you have prosperity, it's not a bad thing, but it'll be bad for you. Most always it will be bad for you. If you have more than you need, an abundance. Very few people can handle the prosperity. We do far better in the poverty than we do in the prosperity. But in Proverbs he said, "Give me neither riches nor poverty." Lest I be full and curse thee, or lest I be poor, be poor and steal and dishonor. You don't want it either extreme, but still. Fullness of bread, idleness. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. I read 2 or 3 different versions of that and different ways of stating it from different cultures have always saw that truth, but they said it in different words. But neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor and needy. When you're proud, you don't care about other people. You just don't. You don't have any feelings for them. You don't have any sympathy for them. You don't have any compassion for them when you're proud, because pride puts you on the throne, puts self on the throne. That's all that you think about is self. And what I need, not what I need, but what I want. We call it needs, but it's not really needs. I mean, how much do we really need? Having food and raiment, let us therewith be content. Wow. It's a pretty much of a slam on us, isn't it? I mean, if we just go look in the mirror, if we'll just look in our own life as it is really, that's what I see. We all have so much more than we need. It is so different. Now Dad's sitting there and he goes back farther than I do. But I remember we didn't we didn't go buy new stuff. Like for working and stuff. Our old trucks we had and things, we'd scrounge around and buy used tires and used parts and go to the junkyard, and we'd scrap and scrounge and weld. That was the best investment, was a welder to fix things that broke, because that's what we did. You managed, you improvised, you did with what you had. I remember one time back then, we got a tax refund, and I don't remember, it was $600 or $700, but it was enough for me to buy a new set of tires for the back of the truck, the log truck. And that was the only time I ever bought new tires. The rest of the time, we would buy used tires off of buses or army trucks. There was a place over here where we could go and get tires for a while off of the army vehicles. And a lot of them were dry rotted. We'd put them on the truck, and they wouldn't last very long. They'd go to throwing chunks off. But that's the way life was. And we didn't live high. We didn't eat out. It was a rare thing to go eat out. Now everybody eats out all the time. There's a lot of people that don't even have food in their house. Their refrigerator, they might not as well as not have one. I guess they got to have it to keep their beer in, because they don't keep food in it. They eat out every meal at a restaurant somewhere. Well, now, I know this. It costs a lot of money to eat out at a restaurant. I know this. Groceries are high. But you can get by a whole lot cheaper going to the grocery store and buying food and fixing it yourself than you can going to a restaurant every meal to eat out. But we're used to just indulging ourselves in everything. If we want it now, we get it. Doesn't matter. Somehow, we just get it. We just go ahead and order it. Amazon. One-click shopping. Just go on there and do a little search. There it is. Add it to your cart. Hit place order, and it's on its way. Everybody's in debt. Everybody's broke all the time. But they're not really broke, because they keep going and going and doing and doing. We just keep going, no matter what. That's how Sodom was, y'all. That's how Sodom was. And what is the root behind all of that? Pride. Pride is what feeds all of that. It's the source sin of it all. And at the same time, now it's kind of a paradox. If, somebody in town can get sick and have cancer or have a wreck or get hurt or something, and everybody will come together and they'll raise some money for them and do that. But as far as just helping people, most people don't help other people very, very much. And they're just not very generous. When you're prosperous, you're not generous. The rich don't give their money away. The poor people give their money away. And if you'll do a little searching, you'd find that when they do these fundraisers for people to help people, it comes from the poor people and not from the people who have money. It's just the way it is. And so these things, Sodom is given as the example here. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. That inward sin, the root sin, iniquity. It's that inward. It's the sin inward. It's what's in you that does this. Iniquity. Pride was the cause of it. Why were they proud? Well, did you ever meet anybody that lived in a big city that wasn't proud? No, I haven't. Well, that ought to draw some fire somewhere, but I haven't. People that live in the city are generally proud. You know how it is. The country people and the city people, well, who do the city people think are smart, and who do they think's dumb? Do they think they're dumb and the country people are smart? And then you can turn it around the other way too. The country people get proud too. But what can we do to rid ourselves of this thing that just grows so easily on us? You know, I look in the front of the church now, the spring has sprung, and so now the weeds are growing, and the grass is growing faster than I can keep up with, and it's just everywhere down around the sign. I was telling her coming in, just look along the front of the church. It's just something that's got to be kept up with. Pride is that way. It's not a thing that you just say, well, I'm not going to be proud anymore, and that settles it. No. Every moment of every day, it's there to rear its ugly head and to spring up, and it'll creep in on you like the poison ivy growing up the sides of the houses and the trees right now too. It'll just creep up on you, little things. And how do we avoid that? And how do we stop it? How do we battle it? You know, we don't just want to ignore it. We want to do something to resist, don't we? If we don't resist it, God will resist us. So if we want God to help us, we've got to resist this tendency to be proud and to let pride raise its head in our heart, mind, and life. Well, the first thing to do about it is to just simply be aware of God. I mean, endeavor to see God as He is, in His glory and His majesty and His power. Think on it, meditate on it, read the Bible about it. Look at the heavens, meditate on the glory of God. You find that in the Bible a lot, where we're instructed to do that. If we're going to glory, what are we supposed to glory in? The Lord. All the honor and the glory is to Him. He is worthy. And so we ought to endeavor to keep our eyes and our consciousness and our mind upon the fact that there's a living God in heaven who is looking down upon us, who works in our lives, who we're going to meet face to face someday. And if we concentrate on that and we endeavor to do that, it'll help us to not lift ourselves up. If we're thinking about the honor and the glory and the power and the majesty of God, then we're going to look in the mirror and say, what are you? Who are you? How low you are. I mean, we're not going to be tempted. We're not going to be prone to think highly of ourselves if we're thinking of God as we ought. That's part of why we come to church. That's part of why we have hymn books that have hymns that sing about His power and His honor and His glory and all of the attributes of God. If we would meditate on that daily. I mean, if we would make that a part of our mental exercises daily, in place of some of the vanity that we fill our minds with and fill our time with and thinking, don't you think that'd help us about being proud? If we were standing in the light of His countenance, if we were walking in the light of the Lord, then we'd be much less prone to start lifting our little nose up and thinking highly of ourselves. We'd be a whole lot less proud of what we've accomplished. That's just one thing. That'd help us right there. If you take that and think about it, it'd help you. There's another thing we can do too, is just be conscious of the fact that we don't have anything that we have gotten ourselves. I had the verse. It's in 1 Corinthians 7, I believe. But I'm not going to try to find it here. But But the verse says this, who art thou what hast thou that thou differest from another? And it goes on to say, let me think here. What hast thou that thou was not given? I'm not quoting it exactly right, but that's what the verse says. Don't have my notes, so look it up. It says plainly that everything we have, all of our natural abilities, all of our learned abilities, were given to us. Our strength, our breath, our heart, every beat of our heart is a gift of God. It's God's. It's not us. Can you make your own heart beat? How long can you live without breathing? Our life is in His hand. Our very life. We can't even, I was reading in Ecclesiastes the other day about there's no discharge from this battle, this war. You can't, what man can say to death, not now. If death comes, it's coming. You can't stop it. We have no control, really, over anything. And we have nothing that we weren't given. Nothing of our person, nothing of our understanding, our knowledge. I mean, all that we have was given to us. And so we got nothing to be proud of. I didn't do this. I didn't make anything. Whatever material things that we have, it's just because God gave them into our care. All that we have, any talents, gifts, abilities, natural or learned, God gave them to us or allowed us the means to acquire them. Or we couldn't have done it. We couldn't have done nothing. Everything we have has been given to us. We watched little John growing up here and Monroe and all of them. They can't even walk yet. What could they do for themselves? Nothing. No, everything they've had. And we look at them and say, well, yeah, but they're babies. No, it's that way all through life. I don't care if you're old, sitting here tonight, old. It's still that way. You ain't got nothing of your own. God gives you every breath, every beat of your heart. There's nothing we have that we got a right to brag about or be proud of or feel proud of, because we didn't do it. We didn't get it. It was given to us. We're all paupers in the sight of God. We got nothing. Those are things to think about that'll help us to not get proud. It'll help us with our pride. It helps me. If I think on those things, I just, you fool, to myself. You fool. How can you be so foolish? Pride is a terrible thing. I've said it so many times. I've read different things. The only one, pride makes everybody sick except the one that's got it. It's a disease that makes everybody sick except the one that's got it. Pride is destructive. I mean, the end of it is shame. It brings shame. We read that verse last week. When pride cometh, then cometh shame. I think that's Proverbs 11:2. And so, when pride cometh, then cometh shame. And pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. So, look at the examples in the Bible. Think about it. Think about Pharaoh. What was his problem? What was Haman's problem? God put all these people in the Bible as examples for us. New Testament tells us that. So that we don't do the same thing. There's Pharaoh, there's Haman, there's Nebuchadnezzar. There's Herod who the worms ate him. In his highest moment, he fell down and the worms ate him. What a way to go. What a shameful end. But all of those and many more learned that shame is the end of it. Destruction is the end of it. Haman was hung on his own gallows. Yeah. Pharaoh drowned in the Red Sea with all of his armies of Egypt. Nebuchadnezzar, he learned, got over it. He humbled. He was humbled. And he came out praising God and a humble man. I would have liked to have known him after he was humbled. Another thing to help us is to just get real acquainted with humility. I mean, observe it. Look for it in other people. And when you see it, observe it. And see how comely it is. Pride is so offensive and such an abomination. It's so appalling. Humility is not like that at all. It's very comely. Look at how good it is. It's the grace that is the very opposite of old ugly pride. Look at it. Look how much better it is to be humble. Yes, sir. Better is a dinner of herbs with the humble. Yes, it is. I'd rather eat potato soup with a humble family than have a big barbecue with a bunch of proud, arrogant, abominable people. Yes, sir. It's good to be humble. Acquaint yourself with it. Look at it in the Bible. Look at it in other people. It's admirable. It's desirable. It's profitable. It helps people. It's a thing that encourages other people, that enlightens other people. Humility is. Real humility, not fake humility. Real humility. Look at how good it is to be humble. Look how bad it is to be proud. Look at the end of the humble and look at the end of the proud. The proud seeks to be exalted, and he's put down. He's brought low. Remember last week? Pride will bring you low. That's what it'll do. That's the end of it. It's going to bring you low. But the Bible teaches just the opposite about humility. That before honor is humility. Humble yourself, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due season. You know, the way down is up, and the way up is down with God. You can get that. Better to be humble. And these things, maybe they'll help us. I think I about got it all. I know that there's some more things I wanted to say, but hard to hold it all in my mind nowadays, I'll tell you. But let's stand and we'll have a word of prayer.